If my critics saw me walking over water, they would say it was because I couldn't swim.
Our guest today grew up with a superstar dad, but he has found a way on his own to carve out not only a successful career on the road, but also in cyclocross. Tibo Nys joins us today on The Odd Tandem. Yenzi, what a talk that was.
Indeed, what a talk that was, because Tibo Nys is only 21 years old, but his wisdom is far beyond his age. The way he talks, the way he looks at life and at his job and at challenges in his life and his job, absolutely fantastic. And it's a proper picture book example of how athletes should think.
Yes, I agree. And, we both have daughters, around his age. Like, the way that he speaks just really wanted me to say, hey, do you have a girlfriend? I'd really like to introduce you to my daughter, because you just don't hear 21-year-old kids talk like that. But it's all up to you. Sit back, relax, and listen to our great conversation with Tibo Nys. All right, everyone. Here we go again with another episode of The Odd Tandem, welcoming Tibo Nys to the show. How you doing, Tibo?
It's good to see you guys. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
Well, I got to ask, man, second year as a pro, almost double-digit wins.
Yeah.
What did you learn or figure out in the second year as a pro that allowed you to have so many big wins this year?
I think it's a kind of a combination of everything, all the puzzle pieces are slowly fitting into each other. The training, like the level of training and the intensity and the hours are rising. I get to know my body a lot more. So all of these small, pieces, they slowly fit into the big part. And I think this worked out in a way that I could only dream of before the season. And it's been amazing to look back at it. It's crazy.
Before we actually go deeper into your training, your preparation for this season, how it all happened, we have 4 quick fire questions where you just give us a short answer, all right? Mm-hmm. The first thing that comes to your mind is the answer. Okay, let's start with number 1. Hilltop, sprint, or breakaway?
Hilltop sprint, for sure.
Solo training or group ride?
Solo training.
Your favorite tattoo?
Ooh, it's I can show it. It's piece of Sorayama.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, it's super nice.
And what is the best thing about cyclocross?
Fans, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Yeah,
true.
It is.
The fans. Yeah. We had your dad on a recent podcast, and he explained us a little bit about how good it is. And I was riding with 2 buddies today that were also ex-pros, and I said, hey, we got to try to get over there and do, and experience a cyclocross race in Belgium with Sven's help, because it sounds amazing. But so let's get back to those little puzzle pieces. I mean, you're about to turn 22. So this year you were 21.
Yeah.
You were world under 23 champion. Tell us about your first win as a pro for the Lidl Trek team and what that meant to you.
It was I was building up that win a little bit. I was getting closer and closer and closer. Starting off with a second place in Romandy, then also a second place in a stage in Tour of Hungary. And I was feeling like, damn, I'm getting really close, but the final piece was missing. And then I think it was stage 3 in stage 2 or 3 in Tour of Norway, where I got the best lead out ever from my team, with Jasper Stuyven as my last guy. And when a champion like him, I was growing up seeing him in the team and things like this. He's from my area, and of course, winner of Sanremo, and to get him as my final guy launching on the steep little kick, then you have to finish it off, I was so relieved, and I was so happy, and I think the next week I won again.
So which one of them did you enjoy the most?
On the road, it's a bit difficult. I think the stage in Tour de Suisse was really emotional. I crashed in Gipping a few days before, in the last 150 meters, in a scenario where I should always win the race, but it was my own fault. And then that evening, we were riding to the hotel to Tour de Suisse, and completely full of scratches and wounds and everything, And me and a DS, I think it was Rusty, and we were going to do the recon of this stage, to see the final climb of stage 3 of Tour de Suisse. And I was looking at it, I said, okay, I'm gonna take revenge here. And then I still remember during the whole stage I was feeling super bad. The legs were not there. I was suffering some saddle pain. I was not relaxed on the bike. The body was holding quite some liquid from the crash, and I didn't really believe in it. But I always kept going, and the more you get into that final, the more confidence I got. And on one moment I flipped the switch, and then to win at that moment, it was like a roller coaster of emotions.
But between that win that you just described in Tour de Suisse this year and Tour of Poland, there was a big gap. I mean, Tour of Swiss is in July, and Tour of Poland is in August, I believe, from memory. What did you do in between that? I know you did your Belgian Nationals, but what set you up for those dominating 3 wins in the Tour of Poland in the World Tour again?
I think this is quite an interesting story because, of course, I did the Nationals after Swiss, which was also really, really great result. I think I surprised myself in that race. And then it was the plan to have 5-6 days off, have a small break, rest, because it was already quite a long period I was racing. So I took 5-6 days off, and then I started training again. And from the first day I was starting training again, I was developing a kind of a knee injury. I had I don't really know the words, but some overuse on my kneecap. And I went to Girona to train, but I had 7 days without touching the bike, just because of this knee problem. And this, combining with the week of rest I had, put me quite back sometime. And normally it was the plan to race in Tour de Wallonie just before Poland. And then, the knee got better and I started training again. But then I was feeling like I was just physically not ready to race in Wallonie. And the team called me, and it was every day with the team doctor, with my doctor, with DS, with my coach, with my dad, always going around to see what we're gonna do, what's the plan. And then I made a decision to not race in Tour de Wallonie. It was also one of my big goals for the season, because I think I could win maybe 2 or 3 stages and even maybe go for the GC. It's close to home. I always like to ride over there. Also, the team felt like, damn, we are missing a really nice shot to have some wins. But I said, if I'm gonna ride now in Wallonie, maybe I fuck up myself even more. I will not have any wins, and I will also not be ready for Tour of Poland, because I dig myself deeper into the problems. And then they said, okay, we're gonna trust you and just do what you need to do. And then I trained like a crazy guy, and I came back in the shape I wanted. And I think it's really an example of how you need to think and how your approach needs to be. And as soon as I did my first race after this period, after this knee injury, and after the weeks of training, I was there. I won.
So could you feel, when you started Tour of Poland, could you feel in your body responding, hey, I am winning material. I don't need this race to prepare for other races. I can win here. Did you feel it from day one?
Yes. We trained so hard in this period before that, also because we didn't have so much time So, after 3 really hard weeks, your feeling starts to go a bit down, because the body is tired, your heart rate is not going up anymore, the legs feel not fresh, you're not reaching the really high power you can normally have in having the legs. So then we made a decision to do 3 rest days, 1 week before of Poland, and then I did 1 really hard training again. And on this day, I felt I was ready to win. And I'm this type of guy who really needs this, how do you say, to build up the confidence in the training and to feel like, okay, I'm ready for it. And I'm like the feeling I'm doing the trainings that will get me the wins. I always have the thing in my mind, I don't win during the races, I win during my trainings. And the racing is the easy part. That's just having fun and doing the hard work is all past, And during that week before Poland, in that one training, I felt like, okay, this is it. I have what I need to win, because I felt this also in the wins I had before.
How things have changed, huh, Jensi? A 21-year-old putting his hand up with this sort of concern and this sort of confidence that, hey, if I go to this race, I'm not going to be ready, but I'm going to be ready. And you were, because you won the first stage of Tour of Poland. So I just kind of want to flag that up. This year, Lidl Trek had 43 wins. Last year they had 27. So a big, big improvement. So I just want to stop right here and compliment not only you as a 21-year-old to kind of put your hand in the fire, and, it could have gotten bit off, because, Jens and I, if we said something like that at that age or as a second-year pro, it wouldn't have happened. So compliments not only to you, but to Lidl Trek, your management, because that's the way that young riders should be treated. And obviously, they're coddling the young riders a lot more than they ever did, but in this sort of positive way. That's what I love to hear. So
and
thank
I
you
also, I really, really appreciate that they gave me this room for trainings, for trusting me to just do my thing. I'm totally aware that even to this day, not only in the past, but also to this day, there are a lot of teams that have the mindset that, okay, we pay you, you need to be there to race. And I think this is in most ways not positive for both sides, because I will not be ready to race, and I will also not perform at my highest level. So we both don't get anything from it. And I think I slowly build up this confidence in the team, because also after the cyclocross season this year, or beginning this year, I took a break of 2.5 weeks of rest, and then I had a really long build-up period because I only started in Romandy, and some people were saying oh, he's don't he need to race? He's taking a long time. Where I think some teams really will have the feeling okay, come on, it's opening weekend, or it's I don't know, you need to ride, you need to do nokere koersen and do I don't know which kind of races. But there they gave me the room, and they immediately saw that, okay, if we can do this, he will deliver.
I think that is a really big step in the learning curve there for the team and for you, that you can build up trust on both sides. And it paid off. Hey, I'm just curious, that super hard training you did before Tour of Poland.
Yeah.
What was it? How many hours? What sort of intervals? What gave you the feeling that, oh man, I'm on top of it. I'm good now.
It's a training I do a lot. It's 8 times 10 minutes on Rosier climb in the Ardennes.
Oh, 8 times 10 minutes. That's 80 minutes. That's an hour 20 full gas.
It's a 5-hour training. Yeah, and only the efforts take already 2 hours 30 or 2 hours 40.
Yeah, wow. And you're doing that at your quote unquote threshold FTP sort of intensity, or are you kind of stair stepping those?
It depends. I did some at always the same pace, but I usually go to go a little bit deeper in that, the first one is like 20-40. The second one is like steady pace, 10 minutes, like just above threshold. Second one is 30-30. Then third one is again just above threshold. Then it's a 40-20. Then again 10 minutes just above threshold. Nice. And then it's like one more, which is 3 minutes, then 2 minutes a little bit lower, then 3 minutes and 2 minutes again. And then the last one is all out.
So you mentioned that you prefer solo training over group training. I think I know your answer to this one, but why do you choose solo training over group training?
If I'm in the wheels, I'm not training.
That's true. And you always, it's so easy to get corrupted. I mean, in a friendly, in a positive way by your friends, you know?
Yeah.
You know, you have this plan, okay, I'm going to do 1 hour warm up and then I start my intervals. And then your friends go, you know what, why don't we go 1.5 hours easy and then you start the intervals? Or why don't we stop at a coffee shop and then you do your intervals? When you're alone, you can exactly do what you want.
Exactly.
So I see the comfort in the group, but also the potential problem, right? And I believe that's another reason why you go, if I'm alone, I can decide when I want to go, right?
On some days, I really love to ride with some friends and with a group, but then everyone knows the guys that I'm training with, except for when it's in a team, you know, then it's different when you're on training camp. But when I'm at home or in Spain and training with some guys, they just know that I will always ride in the front and I will almost not sit in the wheels. But I can always enjoy a nice group ride, that's for sure. But not when I have to train. I always like to have the quality really high every day.
I definitely went through different phases in my career of, you know, group training, and I let that kind of take over. And like you said, Jens, that 4-hour ride would turn into a 6-hour ride, maybe even a 7-hour ride, because you'd stop at 3 different coffee shops and just kind of waste your time. But when you're out there riding by yourself, you can get the work in that you need to get in 4 hours and then go back and recover and go back and spend time with your family and doing things that you want to do. So another really good thing. So are you fueling the same during this sort of intense training that you would in the races? Because what you just described is definitely using a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
And I think that Jens, our generation, until maybe the last couple years, we just didn't really ever eat enough during the training. But are you preparing like your bottles and the stuff that you have in your pockets, or that, you know, somebody may be following you in the car to take on a massive load of carbohydrates to fuel these intense efforts?
Yeah, you should. You even need to start thinking already almost the day before, because it almost feels like a race day, you know? And when it's a really hot or a really cold day, I try to have someone following me, because, as I said, it's like a 2-hour 30, 2-hour 40 effort nonstop, just going up and down. And if it's hot, you just drink almost 2.5, 3 liters in that time. You cannot bring all of this with you. But yeah, it's getting more and more normal to don't even go under 100 grams of carbs per hour.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, back in our early days, they would go, if you eat within the first hour, you're weak. That's bad. You know, they would laugh at you if you start to eat within the first hour. They would go, you're so weak.
If I do a 4-hour easy ride, I'm not on 100 grams. But trainings like this, you should. It's probably above as well. Yeah.
So when you now going into the cyclocross season, a cyclocross race is about an hour, right? You still eat within that 1 hour, or you charge up once we already talk about food? You already charge up before and then you don't eat anything?
I don't eat anything during this 1 hour, except for when it's really hot. I just have a bottle of energy or isotone drink, you know, but that's almost never. So it's just you're just fully loaded and you're good to go for 1 hour.
I definitely want to ask more about cyclocross, but I have to ask you this question because, you know, you're considered a sprinter now. I mean, you don't win those races without being a sprinter, but you have been quoted as saying that sprinters are sometimes not the nicest guys in the peloton. And what happens in a sprint is sometimes criminal, literally criminal. I was never a sprinter. I was way in the back trying to stay clear of those guys, but you did see those clashes from time to time. If you're a sprinter, that means that you're like seeing these moves and seeing the fear a little bit. How do you combat that? Because when we spoke with your dad said he was terrified watching you in these sprints. But what is kind of a little bit of explanation of what I just said about your quotes of it being sometimes quite nasty up there?
Well, the good thing is I'm not a full 100% pure sprinter. You know, I won 11 races now, or 10 or 11 races, and I never won on a flat finish line. But on the other hand, you see those scenarios, and you're involved in all of those sprints at a really high speed. And most of the time, the things you see in TV is like the first 5, the first 10 guys, and then they speak about someone crossing or moving from their line, or boxing someone else in. But the real shit is like 10 or 20 places behind this, you know, where everyone is still trying to move up and going crazy. And the higher the level of the race, the less dangerous it gets. But for example, I rode Tour of Hungary now 2 years in a row. I see some things that it's crazy. It's really crazy. People taking their hands off their handlebars and just almost grabbing on someone else, and yeah, it's crazy. It's not all the time, but there happens some there. Yeah, it just happens, and it's not nice.
Do you think, when you say about it seems to be safe at higher quality or higher standard level races, that people like Tour of Hungary, for example, they are desperate. That is their one and only chance in the entire year to perform in front of World Tour teams. So they want to have a podium place or a win, so they can say, hey, look, I'm good enough to be a member of Lidl Trek or Quickstep or Ineos Grenadiers. Maybe they take more risk because they're desperate to get in. And when you already, Pogacar or Vingegaard, they don't want to crash because they're already established. You think there's a connection, or is it just coincidence?
It's both, because as you said, like the GC guys, they don't get involved into the sprint. And when you see a really pure bunch sprint in Tour de France, you see like maybe there is still like 20 guys, 25 guys, and then the rest is coming like little by little, still in one line, but not a full bunch, you know? And the other thing is, when a race like Tour of Hungary, when it's a 4-hour race, the first 3 hours you have like maybe 120, 110 average power. So no one is getting dropped. Everyone is fresh as hell, and everyone thinks they can be there and they want to be there. And on World Tour level these days, 60k to go, the road is just fully blocked, and you're riding 60k an hour. And the guys in front are pushing 500 watts, and when you want to move up, you need to do a full sprint to maybe catch one guy. In the next corner, you lose again 2 or 3 spots, so everyone is completely on their limit, and which also results that the sprints in the end are a bit safer, because it takes there is a lot of energy already taken away.
But when you win as many races as you have during the first 2 seasons of your career, there's a progression. Sure, there's going to be a lot of races with that uphill finish that you're obviously very gifted and talented at. But what are you looking at to focus on next year? Because it's always step by step, right? People want more and more. Are you looking at the monuments, a race like Strade Bianche, Amstel? What sort of changes do you see in your race program for next year compared to this year?
Like, I think Strade and especially Sanremo will suit me in the future, but it will be just too soon for next year, because cyclocross is still there and it's still really important to me, and it's almost impossible to race from now and then go on to Sanremo and everything. But I think in the future I really want to do those races. But if I look forward to next year, there is one race that really pops into my mind immediately every time, and that's Flesh Wallon. And I will really try to be there at my best level possible, and I will do Amstel also normally.
Flash, it's a good race because it's 50 kilometers shorter. So that makes a huge difference. It's 1.5 hours less of racing. You're a younger rider, so maybe,
I like to
I
like to do the long races.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome,
yeah,
good.
I really like
that
it.
should suit you. That should suit you really well.
I think so. I think the finish line is something that could fit my my qualities, and I think one of the first times I really rode Murovui a couple of years ago with the cyclocross team, and I really that's not even a period in my life where I ever thought I was going to be a road rider or racing on the road, winning races on the road. But at that time, when I was thinking, if I would ever win a road race, it would be this one. And now it's funny to see myself evolving in this kind of rider that could win there potentially one day, and it's nice. So I think this is first big goal of next year.
Okay, so you said that you liked longer races, and we've been watching Tadej Pogačar recently at the Worlds in Lombardia do these ultra long attacks. Does that style of racing, those long bombs that he's chucking out and coming away with the victories, does that impact how you train, looking at those longer efforts? Or is it just the team has to be more kind of consolidated to control that initial acceleration that he makes?
I never been in a race with him like this. So, he's rewriting the rules of cycling, and it's I think everyone is for the moment panicking with their hands in their hair, not knowing how to approach this problem and to see how we can avoid this. But it's getting crazy, and I'm not thinking too much about it, and I'm just trying to focus on being in a super shape myself and taking my chances where it is possible. But I don't think there are a lot of times where a break made it in, for example, Flesh or a guy's going solo, because it's always just in the last K, seeing who is the strongest. But imagine which shape he's in now. Yeah, maybe he will go solo, I don't know, on the last time, the penultimate last time on Muur de Huy, and then we see something that has never been seen before, and then it takes also away my qualities, because then we're racing a totally different race.
I was also wondering sometimes in these days, if you go to your sport director and go, hey, next season I want to do every race where Pogačar is not, right? But then you go, and I also don't want to race with Vingegaard, with Remco and Wout van Aert and Mathieu van der Poel. There's so many superstars. Isn't it sometimes like a little bit frightening to go, oh my God, we got 5 absolute superstars. Where's my little place in this world? Because I don't think, Bobby, in our time we had such dominant riders like we see this year, right? Or this part of cycling right now. So is it sometimes frightening, or you go, I cannot wait to go face to face against them?
Both. It's when you, I think when you really compete on let's say on their strong parts. I mean, I would be scared to go head to head with Mathieu in Roubaix, but just the same as I would be really scared to go head to head with Vingegaard on a long climb. But I will just try to get better at my specialty. And we also saw, for example, in Poland, that even on the highest level, when Vingegaard is there, this is something I can be maybe the guy in the future that is this guy in this type of finishes. So I really like when the with the big stars are there, and it motivates me, and I also look with a lot of enthusiasm to how they are riding, and with a lot of respect. And I don't see it negative. I see it as a nice thing to compete with them.
Okay, I have one more question about your road program, because I know we have a lot of questions about cyclocross. Do you see a grand tour in your future this next year in 2025?
90% sure, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if I can ask, which one would you prefer to do?
This is also a difficult question, because for me, it really don't matter. I mean, if I would do Giro, Vuelta, or Tour, even Tour, for me, it really don't matter. But the thing is that Giro will be quite soon, or after a cyclocross season, but I think possible. To start in a Tour is maybe also a bit like not a usual thing to do, especially in our team. But then to start at Vuelta is already really close to the next cyclocross season, so it all has their consequences, you know. And when you would have asked me, I would say the Tour, because the timing is the easiest for me, for my schedule, for my build up towards the cyclocross season and towards the road season. So I would prefer Tour de France, but it's I'm the last guy to say, hey guys, I need this spot, or I want this spot, or I deserve this spot. It's something you need to earn, and I will follow the team with their advice and with the plan they see for me the next couple of years.
Well, then let's make a transition with a daring question to cyclocross. Cyclocross is gonna become apparently a sport at the Olympics.
I'm curious.
Are you focusing already on that, looking forward to race the Olympics in 2030 in cyclocross? And do you believe it will help cyclocross to become worldwide more popular?
For the moment, I'm not looking that far into the future, because I'm really busy getting myself into shape and holding myself into shape now for the moment. But it can be interesting, you know. I mean, it's clear that cyclocross is not what it's used to be from the years 2000 to 2010, 2015. I don't know, but I'm not 100% sure that this is the way to get it bigger, to get it into the Olympics. I mean, we tried to go to the States as well to do the World Cups over there, which was something I always really love to do. I really like the atmosphere there, the people, to race, do the trip, and to be there. But you cannot forget that it's just a local sport. It's Belgium and Netherlands. And for the rest, yeah, okay, we have some World Cups in France, we have some World Cups in Spain or Italy, but it's all based around Belgium. And when it's big in Belgium, it's really big. And I don't see it as a problem that it's only big here. And now we are trying to make it big in all over the world, but we are forgetting the core, that it's getting less big in Belgium, if that makes sense. And if it, you know what I mean? Like, we are losing a little bit of the core business, you know, like
the tradition a little bit,
keeping
maybe.
it big in Belgium. Yeah. And I don't see how the Olympics is going to change all of this, you know.
Good point. Good point. Well, I have to ask, because I have no idea. What sort of training, like what changes in your training from the road season to the cyclocross season, and how long do you think that transition takes to get like pinging from pinging on the road to making that switch and then pinging in cyclocross?
I think this was something I could give you a perfect answer to normally in a normal situation, or maybe even in 2 or 3 weeks. But after my last road race in Plouay, I took a week off, and I got really sick after this period. So it was again a bit like before. I had 2 weeks of staying completely off the bike, and this put me back some time, you know, and I still need to regain my shape at this time. So for the moment, I'm not really where I want to be. But to come back at your question, I think it only takes me 2 weeks, 1.5 even. But then I need to be also at my top road shape. You know what I mean? So if I just have, for example, my shape after Poland or before Poland, just give me 1 week or 2 weeks and I will be ready to win cyclocross races. The only problem I have right now is that I'm not yet on this road top shape yet.
And with cyclocross, it is a different sport than road racing. We had a German rider, well, pretty much almost a legend, Kluge. He was 3 times world champion. He actually used to do some running, like getting into his training. He would start like an hour, 40 minutes riding, then running for a while, and then cycling again. You do that stuff as well, or you go, nah, that's 30 years ago. We don't do that anymore.
No, not like this. I do. I have some running trainings for sure. 2 or 3 times in a week, I go for an easy run. Just more of a, it's more of a like muscle memory, you know, that you come into the race and it all feels quite natural when you have to run for some time. But not with like switching bikes to running shoes and then on again. No, not like this. But I do run. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So in cyclocross, you ride for the Baloise Trek Lions. And your dad just happens to be your boss. So do you call him dad? Do you call him Mr. Nys? Do you call him boss? Like, that's got to be a pretty interesting dynamic.
No, it's just that for the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
So. Really, also in public, in training, in races. Hey, Dad, next lap I change bikes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
But I think he manages in a way that me and also the whole team don't have the feeling that he's treating me in a different way than the other guys. And I think we found the perfect balance in this. And I think we're managing well.
So then, some technical parts for your next race weekend.
Is it?
How many bikes, equipment, wheels you bring? How do we have to imagine this? Because you're not with the road little track team. You're with the cyclocross team now. How much equipment you use for one weekend?
I will have 4 race bikes with me with approximately 12 or 13 sets of wheels.
That's one set of wheels per lap, so to speak.
And a lot of people who are into road cycling, they don't really realize, but every cyclocross rider has their own mechanic, 2 of them most of the time, their own camper, their own whole like little crew, you know, and we are traveling around from race to race, which like on the road, you just have the team bus and 2 mechanics and that's it. But everyone is traveling with their own small team, you know, and you have to be nice for your team or for your crew, and it's really a family thing, you know. You wake up in the morning, you go to the race, and in the evening you're back home and you have dinner together and you discuss what went good, what we need to improve. And the next day we go again, and it's really a nice family thing.
So having multiple guys on your team with their own individual mini team, explain to me teamwork in cyclocross, because on the road it's paramount, right? But is it just that you guys have the same jersey on and the same bicycle sponsor, or are you guys actually helping each other in a race?
It's of course it's difficult, more different than on the road, but I would describe it the best as we're not going to ride against each other more than we can help each other, if that makes sense. You know, it's almost impossible to come into the race with a race plan. We're not doing this. This is not the way cyclocross works. But for sure, when your teammate is in the front and you're in the group behind, you're not gonna catch him back with a rival in your wheel. You know, you're not bringing anyone to the front, just like this. Yeah, it's more like not working against each other than making a plan and doing something like this.
And just for me as a non-professional there, what gears are used? In the moment, it seems like it's single chain ring in the front,
Exactly.
right? Nobody uses double chain rings anymore.
I think Shimano is still the guys on Shimano still ride double chain rings. I think Mathieu is still riding double as well.
Okay, so you got one chain ring, and then how's your cassette? 11 to 35, or how's that?
It depends on the course. Most of the time I'm riding 46 in the front, and then in the back it's 1033 or 1036. I think most of the time it's 33. But a race on Koppenberg, for example, then we really need to go for a smaller gear.
You're kind of following in the footsteps of riders like Tom Pidcock, Matteo van der Poel, that have transferred to the road and quite successful in the road as well as cyclocross. Mm-hmm. Do you think anytime in the immediate future that you will make that decision to concentrate a little bit more on the road, or is this just so in your blood, so ingrained in you from your father, from your family, from your country, that this is always going to be a part of what makes you happy?
I think I can be clear on that it's always going to be a part, for sure. The way I will fill in this season with the amount of races in maybe 5 years, that's something I cannot predict. The difference also, Mathieu and Wout, they won everything they can or there is to win in cyclocross already. Mathieu is a 6-time world champion. They won all the classifications. They got national champion, European champion. So when you're at this point, you can also make the transition a bit easier in the head to focus on something else when everything is achieved. And for, I think, let's say Tom Pidcock, of course, he's been world champion as well in cyclocross, but this is less of a culture thing than what I have. I mean, I grew up going to those races week after week, seeing my dad racing and winning, and the connection with the fans and everything. And this is something that I would love to feel as well, like he always did. And yeah, that's kind of the way I see it in the next couple of years, to relieve this feeling of having the fans really close to you, and you have the power to entertain them in the race. Yeah.
And how is it with the Belgian fans? They are close to the course, of course, in a cyclocross race. Are they fair to everyone? They cheer on the French rider, they cheer on Tom Pidcock, they cheer on you, or you're going to be a crowd favorite because you're Belgium? And or when you race in Holland, are they booing on you? They go, yeah, go Mathieu, and they boo at you? Or how is that? How do I have to understand that with the fans in cyclocross?
I think to describe it the best, I think you need to see cyclocross as like a TV soap, like a drama, you know? Week from week, there is another episode, you know? And the season is started, and every week you get another episode. And it really depends on how the riders are reacting in the interviews, reacting towards the other riders, doing a bit of trash talk, doing a bit of this and that. And this is where the sport really used to live from in a couple of years ago, you know? I don't know if you saw the first race last weekend, but there was a big thing about Eli Iserbyt breaking the wheel of another rider, just jumping full gas on the wheel. And
of course,
it's something you don't do, but this is what cyclocross makes, what it makes big, you know, and people have something to talk about, and they will carry it with them in the next couple of races. So I'm sure I'm not sure he will have a nice time riding next to the fans next week. And this is what makes it all interesting. It all depends on how you treat the fans, how you speak in the media. It's such a different thing than just the road racing. It's a national TV drama. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's a bit exaggerated, but you know what I'm saying. You know?
Yeah. Of course.
100%. And you've said so many very, very intelligent, maybe even beyond your years things here. And you're representing the new generation very well, because it seems like these guys have it figured out a lot earlier than we did, Jensi. But, you know, you grew up from a very young age with a superstar dad. And we're seeing more and more of riders of my generation, Jensi's generation, having kids that are now successful, coming into the World Tour, coming into, you know, the Olympics, World Championships, the women's peloton. What bit of advice would you have for those young kids who have a famous dad or a famous mom to transition in the sport and then still keep it as real as you're keeping it?
I would say just follow your own path. It's maybe a bit of a cliche answer, but just make it your own thing and don't try to copy. I also never really felt the pressure of the outside, of the fans, of the media, of the people who think, he needs to be like his dad, or he needs to win this and this and this race. I always only feel the pressure I have from myself, and I think it's really important to write my own book, my own story, you know. And I'm never focused on, okay, my dad has done this, so I also have to do this, or I don't know. No, he also never taught me how to do things. He lived his way, and he let me see how it's going, you know, how it should be. And I think I can say I took, of course, it's a lot of positive and negative sides about having a really famous dad or with a big career, but I just try to take the positive points from it and leave the negative aside.
I think that's a really great point of looking at it. I think something similar Axel Merckx once did say to the press that, look, I know who my dad is, but hey, we all know there's no way I'm going to have his talent. So please, give me a chance to follow my own path. You know, don't judge me with my dad. Something similar like you said. That's a nice approach there. But that's also something really typical about the Belgian media, the Belgian fans, you know. They can hold you on their hands for 2 weeks, and then they break you down completely to the ground if the next race is shit. And I always have the feeling there is like a saying, I don't really know exactly how it went. It's about if my critics saw me walking over water, they would say it was because I couldn't swim. You know, and this is a bit yep
how it's going. I mean,
so good.
For example, Remco Evenepoel has had a crazy season, podium at the Tour, double Olympic champion, a world champion TT. What more do you want? And then there will be people saying, yeah, but he don't win the Tour. He cannot beat Pogacar. Come on, man. Be happy with what a crazy talent we have. And if I win 31 cyclocross races next year, they will say, but Mathieu van der Poel won 33 or 34. Yeah, I don't need to be this guy who wins everything. I just enjoy what I'm bringing to the races, to the people, to the fans, and I'm just doing my thing. Yeah.
So, what are your goals then for the cyclocross season this year? Koppenberg cross again, or maybe the World Championships if you get selected?
Well,
or what's your goals?
The first really big goal is just to find my top shape again. I had really, really big goals, ambitions, and motivation to come into the cyclocross season. I really saw it as this is going to be my breakthrough year in cyclocross. But then with the illness, it took me back in my preparation. And for the moment, I'm not focused on I want to be good in this or that race. I'm just getting focused on being 100% again. And if it's in 2 weeks, it's nice. It's super nice. And if it's in 4 weeks, it's also fine. I don't want to be riding at 85% for the whole season if I want to overdo it now, you know. So I just try to give it my time and try to approach it the same way as I did before Poland, but which is a bit more difficult now because I have some things to do here, some sponsor things over there in that race. They want me there, so it's really difficult to gain shape once you start the first cyclocross race. But that's the first big thing, you know, getting myself at 100% again. And then I want to win as much races as possible, be consistent, and try to grab a jersey. Yeah.
Well, most of the peloton, not yourself, are in what we call the off season, and you obviously have quite a bit going on. You got a successful road career, a successful cyclocross career. During those breaks that you talked about, what do you do just to relax? Because it seems like, man, you're going all the time.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of time. I think the first break will be after World Championships, cyclocross in 25, and I will have a short ski 4 or 5 days, because I will only have like 10 days of rest, maybe a little bit less even, because I want to be good in Flash and I want to be good in all those races. So it's more of not really. I never really have like an off-season part. It's like a week of rest over here, 1 week of rest over there, then 10 days over there. You just work in those micro cycles, you know, and in this way, your body never really gets completely exhausted, or you have the feeling like, damn, I'm completely out. And on the other hand, it don't take a lot of time and effort to regain this shape, because you don't drop it as low as when you go into a 4-week off season.
So that's also another thing so different than back in the old days. Huh? Bobby, we had one long road season, one long off season, and a long road season again. Are you sometimes nervous that you don't get enough rest when you have 10 days after the cross, maybe 10 days after the Spring Classics, maybe 10 days after the first Grand Tour? Do you feel sometimes it's not enough for my mind and my body to refresh?
I didn't have the feeling yet that it's not enough for my body, and especially not for my mind. As long as I keep riding well and everything and I'm having fun, I never ever had the feeling I need some mental rest. Never. Because I'm doing what I love the most. I have the feeling I'm not missing out on something, on drinking and having parties and eating and everything like this. This is what I love to do the most. So I don't have the feeling that in my week off or 2 weeks off, I need to get back something, or to get back some, or how do you say it? Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like that
to catch up to normal life.
Exactly. I need to catch
Mm-hmm.
up something because I missed something. I almost never have this feeling. And I think that's the proof we're going the right way.
Well, it's proof because the young generation, a lot of them have your attitude, and you guys are wiping up the results and doing what it takes. And my hat goes off to you because, our generation was a little bit different. But Tibo, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. It was a fantastic talk. And I'm just super impressed with you, not only as a cyclist, but as a man, as a human being, because some of the things that you said were fantastic. So thank you so much for coming on the Odd Tandem today.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. There will be loads more content popping up here, including more great interviews with top guests like Tibo. And please keep dropping your questions for us in the comments. And check our description below to find us on social media and Patreon to support the channel, like these great people.